Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us on Food for Thought. My name is Sunil Chandy, and this is Food for Thought, a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church in Westerly, Rhode Island. And we thank you for being with us today on a live program again. And we're coming straight from my office at Christ Church Westerly. And so if you are with us and you're connecting with us, let us know you're here. Help us to know that what you like about this program and how we can improve, of course. But more than anything else, just connect with us so that we can connect with you. Today we have a wonderful guest, and she's a longtime member of Christ Church, a long time in my eyes, and that's Janice Skonord. Janice has been here for at least, I think, 5 years now. 5 years. And Janice has become part of the fixture of this congregation, but just like many other people who have joined us at Christ Church Westerly over the years. She's become a devoted member of our church, and she specifically works a lot about all about Christ Church, especially on the outdoors, in helping us with all of the memorial garden and things that we have outdoors. And so we're going to be talking with Janice today about this. So Janice, thank you for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure. I love this church. I love Westerly. This is an amazing church.
Yeah.
It does so much, and people are so friendly and interacting, willing to go beyond to do whatever needs to be done. And for mine, I did do a while. I did teaching in the Sunday school, Christian education, and that was very rewarding. Very rewarding. It just after a while, I think I was getting a little too much or something, so I had other pressures that I had to take care of. So I stopped doing that. But where my heart often lies is outdoors. Trimming the hedges or weeding the gardens and picking up trash and cigarette butts.
Yeah.
I bring my blower with me so I can clean out the entryway to the community hall here.
Well, you bring up a very good point. I mean, sometimes in ministry, we have, as you know, and you've probably experienced in places even other than Christ Church, was Westerly, that sometimes the ministry that you start that you don't have to actually be there and do that ministry for forever. God moves you in different ways, and sometimes you need to have that change that allows you to find some new aspect of God's great creation to engage in and participate in terms of enjoying and helping. So of course you're in our Sunday school, and you're so creative. And I remember how you helped create a wonderful experience for the kids who are in your Sunday school group. But after a while, teaching Sunday school can be exhausting, and then you move into something different. And and that's the beautiful thing about our church. There's so many ways you can help and also find help.
Yes. And my life has become much more busy outside of the church. So I've had to pick and choose and come when I can, that sort of thing. And the church is adaptable.
That's right.
To everyone's needs. And I'm a great believer of, if there's a need for something, then fix it or take care of it or jump in.
Yeah.
You don't have to always be told or asked when you see something. And that makes everything run a little bit better.
Yeah, I love what you do with our gardens outside. The way you trim it, and some people have a garden, have a green thumb, as it were, right? And my father back in India, or my grandfather, his father was a farmer. He was a farmer. He used to love being outdoors. My father had that gene that he inherited. I used to remember when we were living in New Jersey, he'd have this huge garden and all sorts of exotic vegetables and plants And then all I could say is that it has skipped within my generation for me. My brother and sister may have this, but I certainly don't, because it takes a great deal of patience.
What's the word, minutia, the little things like that. Interesting you say your father. My father too. I was raised in Bristol, Connecticut. We had a very nice long backyard, and he had a big plot that he did vegetables. Well, I, on the other hand, around the back patio, I took care of all the flowers, and I remember loving it so much even then. So,
you know what? There's a pretty there's a romantic image in my mind about taking care of a garden. And every year I start something, and then by the time that fall comes around, they're all dead. So,
water, you got
water, right? And even this plant over here, and folks, this was we actually put this right here so that it looks good.
It didn't look this way a few minutes ago.
And so we have it's funny though, because we have sometimes we have Bible study here and poetry group in my office, the director's office at Christ Church, and I have all these plants, and the thing is, it's terrible, because if it were left only to me, they would all be dead right now. But luckily, we have the Bible studies and the poetry groups, and people come in and they say, "Oh my God, it needs water." That's when
we gotta do something here.
But that's that also reminds me that the church is a community. It's made up of many different people who just jump in to do the work of the community when it is needed. I love what you just say. When you see something that needs to be done, just do it, pick it up. With our gardens outside, because it's in public lands, really. I mean, outside of our church property, people, we're off of a busy road, and people drop all sorts of litter, and sometimes it's good to just, if you see something, just pick it up and just clean it up for the next person who comes after you.
When I'm down in front of the church weeding the rose garden, I've had people come by or stop their car and say, "Really appreciate how beautiful those are. This church is so beautiful of itself, but the grounds also are quite beautiful." And that is a strategic plot where everyone enjoys it, walking, driving.
Yeah, and of course, our front entranceway that moves into the driveway that's circular, semicircular in our church, is right across from Wilcox Park. And Wilcox Park is a park that's a beautiful park. I mean, it has a pond, and it has a beautiful vegetation and a great deal of flowers and unique trees, and so we need to keep our grounds
keep up with them.
To keep up with them, to help the neighborhood feel the sense of pride, and also the sense of beauty and continuity between the different institutions.
The other, aside from the plants and things like that, weeding, I like to also bring my blower and clean the sidewalk.
I know, and she's mean with her blower. She's like, "I see mowing over. You got to move out of the way."
I try not to do it at people. I know my daughter just thinks I'm awful that I use a blower. She's very, quiet type of person. She thinks they're terrible. I said, they get the job done so
well. I'm telling you, I could relate to the hot air. Out of a blower. Yeah.
So as a church, in my opinion, the church should look pristine. It shouldn't have a down day. It shouldn't look, all overgrown with weeds, and even in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
I think
I look at things like that.
Yeah, I know. We have a tendency, and I'm a more of a process person. I believe that that we strive to improve, each day, and sometimes perfection, it doesn't always exist, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up because we don't have perfection, but we do continue to improve and make it better. And that's the one thing I love about you, Janice. You're always trying to make the appearance of our church look better, to make it welcoming for people. You know, I often see you working in the Memorial Garden, and that Memorial Garden, we have a garden that we have people who are cremated have their remains interred in that garden. And so in that garden, it's a beautiful garden with all sorts of little statues, and it also has all these wonderful, unique types of flowers and vegetation. And we have a memorial garden committee that is in charge of that. But it's a very meditative place. We have an altar that's present there, and I can't wait to do an outdoor Eucharist at that place.
Oh, absolutely. There is that altar there. And sometimes when I come down there to do some work, there'll be this little old lady sitting on one of the benches near the altar. And she goes, "Oh, I hope you don't mind." She said, I cut through here when I come from the market, because I live up that way, and I just want to sit and rest for a bit in this beautiful garden. I said, "We are delighted to have you do that."
Exactly.
That's exactly what God is here.
And if you are able to come to the Memorial Garden, you can also just sit and be in that calm place. But you could also be aware. You might be aware that the saints are buried in that garden. You know that, and so when you say the prayers, you're praying among a community of saints. And so, and recently we just erected a columbarium in the garden. It's on the periphery of the columbarium, adding to another way of an alternative to Christian burial to what we already had. We have this where you can actually inter someone into the garden, or you can actually put them in a columbarium now. And so it's and the columbarium, I think, fits the design and the ambiance of the garden.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then inside the church right now, I do a lot of the little notices and information cards and the little brochure telling about who the priests are, and that we want people to answer and give their names and let us tell them about the church.
So let me ask you a question. I mean, I know I have an answer, but I want to know, why do you think it's so important to create a welcoming atmosphere for people who might be even just passing by the church?
Because it's a hurting world. Everybody has something that they want to talk about or get off of their shoulders, or find some comfort. And especially after COVID, everybody being locked up, and there's been a lot of sadness going on. So when people come here, it's an open door. They're so welcomed. Them, having a lemonade on the lawn afterwards in the summer, trying to encourage people to come out. And then, of course, the children's program is a big draw for young people. And now that we have the young people reading the college, the lessons, and serving at the altar, I mean, I smile every single week when I see them, and they're so serious. Nick was carrying the cross. I spoke to him afterwards. I said, "You're absolutely gorgeous."
Oh.
He is. But I had to then say, "Which one are you?"
Yeah, I know.
Because of their
So
triplets.
the
two boys.
Yeah.
Even though I had them in Sunday school, I can't keep them apart. So that is, to me, it's such a blessing. And the older people, I would think, love that too. Everybody smiles when they see a child, and a child serving God. And there's nothing better than that.
Yeah. So I mean, back to that whole welcoming aspect. I mean, and then relating it also to the acolytes and the kids program that we have. I mean, the idea is that we create this welcoming environment so that people can pray, they can connect with one another, engage in life-changing conversations with other people of faith, or with a priest, or with a Sunday school teacher, or someone, to connect with someone. And so when we're creating that outdoor space that's welcoming, that allows people to sit there in meditation, like the woman that you talked about, who just rests in the memorial garden now and then, or whether it be that we create like these brochures that also show welcome to the people who are new, saying, hey, look, learn about us as we learn about you.
And one of your biggest outreaches is the Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I came here. Somebody told me where I live, oh, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I don't know. We just moved here. Oh, you need to go to Christ Church. They have a big Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone's invited. All right, so we did, and that was it. We just loved it from the minute we came in.
It's about or showing God's grace, or experiencing God's grace, and then turning around and then allowing that grace to flow out into the world. I think it's beautiful. And back to the Sunday school, I agree with you. I think we've got this really wonderful program. It's going to go through some even some changes now. It had to because of COVID, but we have about 17, 18 kids in the Acolyte program, and so we're imagining a new kind of situation, even with Sunday school, where that acolyting experience, and people can serve on the altar guild as part of their Sunday school experience. They're all part of the experience to help teach and learn who we are, and connect our experience to the experience of God. It's beautiful. I mean, and Nick and Nate, his brother, and Haley, his sister, and then Megan, their older sister, just one of the four of the many wonderful kids that we have here.
Oh, absolutely.
It's beautiful.
And kudos to the parents.
Oh, yeah.
Their parents are exemplary. Their father shows them the way. He's on the altar as well. And he's not the only one. I see that. I don't know everyone's name, but that big guy, and he's got his little boy too. And I watched him one Sunday when his child was lighting the candles up over the altar. He was standing there watching like, boy, I hope it goes well.
Oh.
And when they were done, he turned around, his father nodded, good job.
Oh.
That is just beautiful for children to get that reinforced.
Amen.
Yeah.
And Janice, again, I just so appreciate your presence. I know that 6 years you've been here. 5 years. And for Westerly, we've had people here who've been here for over 60 years. Right?
I know, born and raised.
And I'm just so glad. Sometimes it can be hard to move into a new community, but I think you found it welcoming, and you become.
Oh gosh.
And
it offers so much. Yeah.
And then you became a part of the community, and now because you're a part of this community, you're turning around and helping us welcome the new people who are coming in. And again, this is how God uses the church to bring about hope and reconciliation, and contact, and reaches out to the world that's hurting. That's hurting. God bless you.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely does. I feel God a lot, and I seek him a lot to make sure I'm in the place I'm supposed to be, or doing what I'm supposed to do. And sometimes, there's a lot of prayer asking, but that's it. I constantly want to do what God has me to do. Yeah,
and so I know our time is getting closer to the end, but I did want to ask you though. You've read the Bible, and you've read also like the men. You've been in church for a while. Who's one of your favorite biblical characters, other than Jesus?
Oh,
I love my Savior Jesus. I know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, There are two. I would say first is Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I liken myself to a Paul quite a bit. And the other is Mary, Mother of God.
Mother of God, yeah.
Because of the loving and the giving and the sorrow and everything she had to endure.
Well, you know what's funny though, because I was thinking about that question only because this last Sunday we had two characters of the Bible in our God lesson, Martha and Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why, and everyone says you have to, most people say, okay, in the Bible we have these two models of prototypes of faith, and Martha in the Bible is a person who works really hard to make sure that people are welcome. And Mary is a person who sits at the feet of Jesus, learning and taking in what's important. And sometimes people say that I have to be either or. But in you, I sense a both and. Mm-hmm. You could be both Martha, who works hard to make sure that life is good and welcoming for the people of God. And you could also be like Mary, where you're waiting to hear or watching what God is doing, and waiting to hear the words of God that comes from the mouth of God. And so, Janice, I really want to appreciate you again. I'm grateful for your presence. I know that God is moving you and is a part of your life. And may God continue to bless you and Werner and your whole family. And may you always be the joyful person that God has called you to be.
Well, thank you. And I'm so grateful that you are here, and Father Al. I especially love his booming voice.
Oh, yeah?
He doesn't even need a microphone. Oh, yeah. And your happiness and your, pulling everything together is really beautiful.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you.
And your family is so beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for watching and being a part of this. I mean, this is part of our getting to know our parish experience. And of course, if you do come on a Sunday with us or watch online, you'll see Janice probably in the first row on the gospel side, sitting next to her husband, Werner. And you could say a prayer for her and Werner, of course, and you could also know that you have somebody other than the priest.
Absolutely, better say hello.
And say hello when you come in. So we want to thank you for being for watching and being with us today. And so what we're going to do is end our time with a prayer that it was written by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray. Jesus Christ, who traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness, at your command the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, counselors, and caregivers. All this we ask in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace to love and serve God. Spread the joy and the light of Christ to the world around you. The world needs it right now. Amen.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.